So today we're in the washing room. We've got this Defy DAW 731 washing machine, front loader. It doesn't spin anymore and it doesn't turn when you wash, but it still puts water in and pumps out, so the pump is working definitely. So obviously what's wrong is there's something wrong with the motor. Either the motor doesn't get signal or the motor doesn't work. So we're going to open this back cover here with these screws here, and we're going to open the top panel. There's screws here underneath. I'm going to open that up and then show you what I see. Okay, brought it back into the shop because I saw these fasteners on the motor, those star point thingies. Luckily my flat point screwdriver fits in perfectly, so I can actually turn it with that. And there's two in the front and then two more in the back. There was a belt on here that I took off, and then this is the top. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this on its side and then take off the motor and see what I can see, because some of these connections, look how black they are. Now it could just be because of carbon from the motor, but I'm going to see. We'll take it out and then we'll see what's going on there. Okay, I've got the motor out. Before we do some testing on the motor, I just quickly want to show you a few things on the washing machine. Remember, it's on its side now. So on the top here, we've got two solenoid valves. It is basically an electromagnet connected to a pin that is connected in the back to a valve that lets water in and out. Now the reason why this machine has got two is because you can have a pre-wash, and a normal wash. So when these solenoids gets energized, they pull the pin and open the valve and let the water through to either the pre-wash or the main wash. So if you have a problem with your washing machine where water is not entering, water doesn't go in, it's most likely one of these solenoids. Well, you will know which one works or which one doesn't. And we can just trace a pipe to where it goes in to see which one works with what. They will be marked. I don't know if you'll be able to see with how much voltage they work. They work with a full 220 volt so it doesn't get rectified or anything on the PC board. So this one will get 220 volt and the solenoid will open. This one will get 220 volt, the solenoid will open. If there's no power there, the solenoid will close and no water will go through. If you have a problem that water doesn't drain, at the bottom of the drum, the water accumulates in here, and here's a little pump. You will see it's connected to the outlet pipe. So if the washing machine doesn't drain, this is the pump, so you can check here. Either replace the pump or see what's wrong. Maybe there's not power going towards it. Then this is because the front loader, it heats the water for itself. This is the element on the bottom side of the drum. These 2 points, the top and the bottom, they are the element connecting points. So you have to have power there, 220 volt there, for the element to heat up. The way it works is that it's like a oven switch or a stove plate. It will go up to a certain temperature and it will be full on. You cannot regulate the amount of power going through the element. So the element is always on or always off, fully on or fully off. They've got a little thermostat in the middle. It's not really a thermostat, it's a thermometer to measure the heat of the water, so that it knows. I mean, you can set the setting of 30 degrees centigrade or 60 or 90 or whatever. So when this measures, let's say you set the machine on 60, when this sensor measures 61 degrees, it will switch this off until it measures about 55, then it will switch back on. And when it gets to 61, switch off. Same with 90, of whatever you do. So if the water doesn't get warm, it's either the sensor is not working or the element's not working. If I have a problem with that, I'll show you how to test it, but you can just take off one of these terminals, off, and then measure with the ohm meter across the terminals. Should get something like, I don't know, 12 ohm or 17 ohm or whatever, depending on the wattage of the element. Okay, so now we will try to pin out the motor and see if the motor is working or not. Okay, now to the motor. We can see there's a lot of connections here, a lot of different wires, but it's not so difficult to work out what is what. These small red ones go to the back of the motor. There's a pickup for a speed measurement, so that the computer knows exactly how fast the motor is going, because remember, you can set all your stuff. You can set the spinning cycle on 300 revs per minute or 600 or 1200 or whatever. So that is how the program knows how fast the motor is going. And then just above that, let's go from the top. This blue one and this blue one, they are together. That's a temperature sensor inside the motor. As you can see here, this motor is thermally protected by itself, so it's got a thermostat inside, or thermometer inside. That's the blue one on top here. Then this yellow one is the earth. It goes onto the chassis of the motor, so that this whole thing is earthed. Then we've got the two red ones. They are the ones for the speed control. Then we've got a dark purple one, and if we check on our brushes on this side, here's a dark purple one. This white one here comes with the other brush over here. Then we've got three terminals for the windings. It's got two windings. I'll just show you a schematic of that now. And this other blue one is the other one that goes on the temperature meter. So I'll quickly draw you a schematic, and it will be easier to understand the windings then. There's clean space on my table at the moment to draw a schematic. But basically what happens is, the AC motors have a main windings and compensating windings, and they are connected together at one point. They've got a common point. So what we're first going to do is see if the brushes make contact with the armature, because if that doesn't make contact, nothing's going to work at all. So what we can do is we can take our multimeter, put it on the ohm setting. Now we know if we measure on one of the brushes, this white one is coming in on the white one, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No man. 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a white brush straight through, and then the dark blue one is just above that, straight through. Now if we measure between the white one and the dark blue one, we should get a reading. Blue, earth, red, red. There's the one, and there's the other one. Okay, 1.8 ohm. So they are going through. So the brushes is making contact. Then we can check the windings. I'm just going to turn it around. Now, because the two windings is connected at one point, you should get 3 readings. One reading is a bit lower, the other one is a bit higher, and then the last reading you're going to get is the two combined. So we don't know how this is connected, but we can figure it out. If we go on the first one, first pair, we see that's 1.4 ohm. We move over, 1 ohm. So 1.4 plus 1 should be about 2.4. There you go, 2.5. I mean, there, 2.4, 2.5. So that means our windings are correct as well. So at the moment it doesn't look like there's any problem with the motor. It could have been that the brushes didn't make contact very nicely, because the first time I measured it, just before I cleaned everything, I couldn't get a reading on the brushes. So what you can do is, to check your brushes, you can take them out. Okay, so here's the actual brush. You see it's spring loaded. Let me just, because there's too much blackness there. It's spring loaded, so that as the brush wears down, it still pushes it against the armature, so that it always makes contact. Now, if there's no more brushes left, it's not going to make any contact anymore. But this one still seems fine. There's not much left. I mean, it's almost done, actually. We can check the other one as well. Let me just put... Okay, as you can see, there's a lot more left on this brush. Okay, so we're going to put the motor back in and see if that first brush connection that I saw was not right, if that might have been the problem. Okay, so I put the motor back and connected it up again. I want to show you what happens. Got it on. I'm obviously only going to put it on spin and drain. There the pump started to pump the water out, and now it's going to try to start the motor. See, the motor only started up and then stopped immediately again. We'll see that happening again now. It's going to try again. Put the light off, and you can see the spark where the brush touches the armature. Pumping now. Trying to start the motor. Okay, so there could be two reasons for that. Either the brushes doesn't make good enough contact, that's why it can't start, or there's some device to measure whether the drum is turning, because I didn't put the belt back on. So I'm going to put the belt back on, and then we'll see if that makes a difference. Okay, I'm going to show you now what it does. With the belt connected. Okay, there the pump starts. Now the motor should have started. Okay, so you saw it wanted to start, but the brushes flashes a lot, and because the motor was so full of carbon on the inside, everything was black. That's why I'm wearing the gloves. Look at this up here, all the carbon from the brushes. So I think my first assumption was right, that the brushes are finished. So tomorrow I'm going to get some new brushes, and then we'll see if we replace them, if that helped at all. See what it does now. No, nothing's going through. Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to replace the brushes, and then I'll show you what happened. Okay, so I got the new brushes. Here's the old one. Here's the new ones. So basically all that needs to be done is that this brush here needs to be removed from this copper sleeve. So what's going to need to happen is these 2 points, I've got to bend it out and then pull the spring out, and then here it is soldered on. So I'm going to remove the soldering. Then I'm going to cut this braided wire off from this terminal here and solder it onto this point here. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you. Just make sure you put in, because you will see it's got an angle there. When you put the new one in, just make sure you put it in on the same angle, not the other way around, the same angle. Okay, this was very difficult. I already finished the other one. What I'm going to show you is what I did, because it's very, very difficult. As soon as because I'm not going to use this connector here, as soon as I cut the wire off here, the spring comes out, obviously. So what I first do is I get this cable out a bit. Come on, focus now. And then I cut that piece there as close to the housing as possible. Now everything will come out at the front. Okay, don't lose this piece. What I do is we cut this one off here. Okay, then we need to get some soldering on both sides. Okay, use a long nose, obviously, and then just get some solder tint on there. On that side, and then you change over to the other side. Okay. This is a new one. Cut the new one off. Keep the spring. See, they are the same length. I'm going to keep the new one, put the old one away. Get some soldering done on this side. Bloody hell. Looking through the camera is not so easy. Okay, now I've got this piece, now I've got the other piece, now we just put them together. Okay. Now I take 2 small cable ties . This one, push this flat. The other one, and we use that one on the opposite side. Okay, so now we've got our spring down. Now you can put this through here. Through that, and then you can push it into the holder. And you can actually solder it there while this is hanging on the other side. Okay, so first need to take this one off. We got the old soldering off, old cable. So just put some new solder in there. There you go. Soldered on just fine. Now we can cut these cable ties. Just watch out that you don't cut your spring. Put the spring inside. And load the brush. Yeah. I can put it on here. Must stick out a little bit on that side. Oh, I've got mine in the wrong direction. Yeah. Okay. That's it. There you go. In a sin. Now I just need to put it back onto the motor and then we'll test it. Be with you right now. Okay, now we've replaced the brushes. Let's see. There's the pump going. Excelente. Okay, I'm going to stop it now. So all that is left to do now, I cut this cable tie here, which fastens to the motor. I cut the cable tie here where the harness comes onto the drum. So I'm just going to replace those cable ties and then close this one up and then I'm done. Thanks for watching.